Color Outside the Box is a podcast series that focuses on creating a better you. Whether it's advice about family, relationships, raising children in this technological world, marriage, or careers, we seek to find the answers to help you live your best life. So start your Monday morning off right with me, your hostess with the mostest, Princess Miller, on Color Outside the Box right here on iTunes and everywhere podcasts can be heard. All right, and good morning. Thank you for tuning in to the Color Outside the Box podcast with your hostess, Princess Miller. We're back with Miss Kristi July. How are you doing this morning?
Great.
Today we're going to be talking about getting kids ready for high school and college. The reason why I wanted to do this show is because Miss Kristi July has been working in the school system for 14 years.
14 years.
And so she served in many different capacities, and she has a wealth of information that she could bring to us, including how things have changed when you're applying for high school here in the Mobile area. And I don't know, is this something that's taking place in other areas where they have these specialized academies?
They are. They're actually nationwide. You'll find some school districts do it only for a select group of students.
Okay.
Whereas Mobile County decided that all students should have the opportunity. And so every high school in our county offers career academies that are wall to wall, meaning every 10th through 12th grader has to be enrolled in an academy. And that can range from your high wage, high demand jobs such as welding in our region, or if you want to go into the medical field and start off as a CNA, or go into athletic training, or a vet, or even the dental industry. There's something for every student in Mobile County Public Schools.
Awesome. So one of the things that, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show, I was sharing with Miss Kristi, my daughter is getting ready to apply for high school. In fact, we did the application last month.
Great.
And I was pressing upon my child for the last 3 years. Hey, you need to get involved in school. You need to be involved in some clubs. And she didn't see because she's the type of person, she's to herself. She's quiet. She, stays to herself and she watch other people. But I told her, I said, you have to break out of that. I said, it's going to become important as you get ready to apply for college. But I had no idea how important it was until she got ready to apply for signature academies for high school. And they are wanting to know, it's like a college application.
Yes.
They want to know what kind of activities your child has been involved in civically, community things that your kids have been involved in. Well, what kind of grades do they have? Give us some teacher references. Give us some information about what makes your kid, special. Why should we accept them? And then another question that they ask, what type of activities were they involved in school?
Yes.
And so a lot of parents think, like I did at first, I was thinking college level, had no idea that we will be implementing some of these things and, getting ready to go into high school. But just, trying to get her in that mindset of getting ready for college. No, you need to start as young as what age do you recommend?
Well, I'd say you need to start having these conversations as early as elementary, talking about 5th grade age. But involvement in activities, definitely we start to see a lull in middle school. And that's just because they're going through a transition. But I would say you really need to hit hard with it in middle school on your students. A lot of elementary school kids, they get involved in stuff just because that's what they like to do and want to do. But that transitional stage where they're trying to figure out who they are and what they like in middle school, that's when they tend to fall off of some of those extracurricular activities. So you really do want to keep those going through those middle school years.
And so what are some other things that they look for when they're picking students for the Signature Academy?
Well, they're also going to be looking at discipline. They want to look at attendance. That's very important to a student's success and a school success. So they want to know that students are going to come to school and also come to school on time. And some parents I've engaged with, and now that I'm in a different capacity, I get to talk with even more parents on a more local level. Some parents make the excuse of, well, my child is just like me. I don't like to get up early and be anywhere on time. And I understand that. And when they become adults, then they can make those decisions in regards to finding jobs that allow them to get to work later, or be able to go to a school, a post-secondary educational experience that would allow them to get there a little bit later. But in high school, we have a set time, a set schedule. And so, unfortunately, you don't have that luxury. And it does hurt and penalize the student if they can't get to school on time. So I'd say looking at attendance and starting to have good attendance is important, because even if your student looks to wake up later in the day, they still have to have attendance for that post-secondary experience and work. Even if it's 10 o'clock where they have to be there, they need to learn that getting there at 10 o'clock is imperative for them. Also, discipline is what the schools are going to look into, because we have limited resources. So we want to be sure that the resources that each school has, they can meet those students' needs. And if for some reason a student has been a disciplinary problem, doesn't mean that they still will be. It could have been the environment. It could have been a time in their life. It could have been that now they've matured enough beyond that. But they do look at those things because they want to be sure that they can actively and effectively support every child that walks through their door.
It used to be, I'm not sure, because you grew up outside of Mobile.
Yes.
But I remember growing up and parents saying, or teachers saying, hey guys, you really buckle down when you get into the 11th grade, because colleges are going to start looking at you when you get in the 11th and 12th grade. But what we're finding now is colleges are looking at kids as early as 8th, 9th, 10th grade, depending on, what your academics are or what your ability on the sports field to be able to do. They may start looking at you much earlier than that. Yes. So when would you recommend, because I guess I shouldn't say recommend, because all students should be working to their best at all times. But you have some students that, don't put as much focus as they should. But then later on, what area should we say, okay, this is the time you really need to start buckling down?
It really starts when they hit the door in 9th grade. That's when the GPA comes. So every class that a student takes is going to determine how it will impact their GPA. So their GPA starts for us in the 9th grade. So if you start off making C's, D's, or E's, your GPA is going to reflect that, which will also mean that you possibly have to retake classes. And then in addition to that, that makes you behind on your grade level. And also will make a bigger hole for you to dig yourself out of when it comes to your 10th and 11th grade years. So how that student starts off 9th grade will determine how easy or difficult they may have it on the back end. 12th grade year, focusing on that, and honestly, even having those conversations and really trying to be impactful, their second semester 11th grade year is too late. Because your GPA has already been established. So you have a shorter amount of time to work yourself out of that GPA that may not be a qualifying GPA than if you would have started with that academic success come your 9th grade year.
So what advice would you give parents to prepare their kids for college?
Well, my first advice would be, first off, I understand college, and I was put and encouraged to go to 4 years. I didn't really have many other options, but I want parents and students to know that they do have options. So post-secondary, once a student graduates from high school, they can go to a 2-year school, they can go to a 4-year school, they can go straight to the workforce. All of those options are good. You have to determine the option that's best for you and your child. But that conversation also starts in 9th grade, and it does not mean that they won't change throughout their 4 years in school. But regardless, you need to be having conversations that, first off, you will be doing something after graduation. So everything you do in high school is to help make that decision a little bit easier once they graduate. And so, but having those conversations 11th grade and 12th grade year is just too late for that. So first off, I would encourage parents to have those conversations starting sooner. 8th grade is even better, before they get into high school, because they need to know how impactful 9th grade is. So having those kind of conversations and understanding that graduation is not what we are here to celebrate. I want you to celebrate in May when you graduate, but what are we graduating to is what we're trying to work on in high school. And so have those conversations in 8th grade, but also place as much emphasis on academic success as you would athletic success, because students don't qualify to be athletes, and we have some of the most amazing athletes in some of our schools, but academically they don't meet that requirement in order to even set foot on a field or court. And so we want to be sure that those students are able to be involved in those types of activities, but you have to place the emphasis on them early that they have to do what they need to do in the classroom in order to become an athlete on the field.
Okay.
So that's the second thing. And I would think the third thing is recognizing that your student may need additional support, and don't be ashamed of that.
That was actually going to be my next question. How can we help those students that may be challenged in their academics to make sure that they qualify for college or post-secondary, whether it's a 2-year college?
Yeah. One thing that I think parents, we may sometimes do is we look at other kids and we think our kid should be at that same level on everything as that other child, but we're not, and they could be if we were providing the services they need. So I would encourage every parent to take an honest look at their student skill sets, where they are right now, and find those supports, whether it's tutoring that they may need, whether it's asking teachers for additional worksheets or homework, whatever that may be, that assistance may be for their student, so that they can reach that academic success, and don't have them feel like they are less than because they just don't understand this concept or don't have as much strength in that particular skill set. So those are my 3 most important and immediate recommendations for any parent to start looking, because we are trying to get a student to be successful after high school. But that conversation and that preparation has to start before they transition in.
So let me ask you another question. Have you seen any particular program that has helped students? Tutoring programs is what I'm referring to. Have you seen any particular ones that you could recommend that you would say, hey guys, parents, take a look at this particular program? Not necessarily saying go there, but just take a look at this particular program.
Well, each school should have some type of tutoring. First off, I want parents to know that there should be some type of assistance in-house that a student can take advantage of that would be free of cost. But there are other programs. There's something called Class 101 that has moved into our city. And the purpose of Class 101 is to help a student through their entire 4 years of school. So the goal is to get them when they first get into high school, and maybe even earlier. You'd have to have that conversation with that organization, but to help them map out what it is they need to be doing throughout their 4-year process so that they can achieve that post-secondary goal. So they also get them in the hands of ACT tutorers. If they're not making the scores that they need, they assess your student strengths and weaknesses, and they work on those weaknesses. And they put you in the hands of people that can help support your student in those areas of weakness so that they can be successful. They work with students on selecting the best majors and colleges for them based on their interests and what they're looking to do. And they help them apply. They help them through the application process. They help them through that financial aid process as well. So that company, their goal is to see your student from start to finish and help fill in the gaps where there may be some. Other companies, there are a number of tutoring companies in our city. So I would definitely say go and visit those tutoring companies and see who is offering what your student needs. And that way you can find the one that's best for your student. That we have a number of options in our city, and I would encourage parents to start reaching out and understand that sometimes we're going to have to spend a little bit of money and invest a little bit in our kids on the front end so that they can reap those successes on the back end.
That is awesome. So in getting our kids ready for for college, we talked about, getting the scholastics where they need to be. How important is it to get involved in activities? I want to bring that conversation back because some kids don't see the importance of joining clubs. So what's the benefit, and how can that benefit them in the long run?
It is huge to them, and they may not see what the benefit